Is the Vice Tour golf ball really the perfect ball for the average golfer? How is it going to stand up against the rest of the balls in this market? So I'm going to be answering those questions in this video and doing a full review on the Vice Tour golf ball and talking about whether or not I actually did like it myself. So what we look for whenever we're testing them out, we tested on multiple from Vice and also others that are quite similar. And we're talking about how they compared. Was it just as long as the other ones? How forgiving was the ball? And then we're also going to be talking about who it's going to be best for and the cheapest place to pick it up. So before we get started, I will just mention our gear giveaway. If you want to enter in, we do it every 1,000 subscribers. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment giveaway down below. Do those three things and you'll be automatically entered. So let's start off by talking about the control and forgiveness. So these two things are the most important thing for me personally when it comes to a golf ball. I don't really care about getting the most distance out of my ball just because I'd way rather, and I think a lot of people should do this as well, but I'd way rather have more control and more accuracy to hit more fairways and greens in regulation. I'll definitely take even 20 yards less if I can increase the odds of hitting more fairways and more greens, and that's resulted in me lowering scores. So being able to control the ball and whatnot means you're able to shape the ball around and put it somewhat close to where you want it. Obviously it's not going to happen every time, but I'm also going to talk about how the ball feels, because I do think that's really important as well, at least for me. So I'm not really able to move the ball around too much, exactly the way I want. I can a little bit, but it doesn't always work out every time. But sometimes I can put a nice draw or fade on the ball. And the Vice Tour ball, it was pretty much just like any other. I don't know if I'd say it's better or worse when it comes to this, but it definitely did work for me, so I was pleased to see that. The only thing I didn't really like as much was how the ball actually felt at impact. It was a bit too firm for me. Some people do like that, but I prefer a slightly softer ball myself. It's more like a personal preference thing, and it doesn't really impact the performance, but that was one thing that I preferred on some of the other models and some of the other Vice balls. But this ball is designed for minimal dispersion, which I guess you can call forgiveness. I didn't really find it to be as forgiving as a noodle or something like that, but it was pretty good. I was definitely able to hit more fairways and greens in regulation compared to a Titleist, so I guess it is a big win. So let's move on to distance and performance. And most people out there, they pretty much just want a ball that's going to bomb long down the fairway. I've seen it so many times where people, they don't really care about the feel or forgiveness of the ball. They just want to hit it as far as they can. They're going to hit driver on every single hole and end up 2 fairways over, but they're fine with it because it goes 280 yards plus. But in this case, I think the Vice Tour balls, they could be a good fit because they were just as long as any other ball I've personally used. For me personally, they were slightly longer than a Chrome Soft. If you've ever used that, I had it. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was 3-4 yards on average longer. But it was definitely similar to what I normally play. A lot of people are saying that they're somewhat similar to the Pro V, so they're kind of in between a Pro V1 and a Pro V1X, but they are much cheaper. Now, I don't really play Titleist balls often, so I can't really say for sure, but a lot of people are saying this, so I'm just going to take their word for it. Quite similar to Titleist and kind of in between there. And I felt like that they rolled relatively smoothly on the greens, but the two downsides I noticed was that they didn't seem to spin as much as the softer ball would, and they did tend to get nicked up fairly easily. They are cheaper, so it's not really a huge deal, but I would like to see them be a little bit more durable. Those are pretty much the only main downsides to it, so let's just jump over to the pros and cons. So pros, they're similar to a Titleist apparently, but they're much cheaper. The distance was just as good as any other ball for me personally, and they felt and rolled smoothly on the green. Cons, I found them to be pretty firm. Some people are going to be fine with this, but I personally like a softer ball. They didn't seem to last very long. They are cheaper and they get nicked up pretty fast. Those were pretty much the only two downsides. Everything else was pretty solid on it. So let's just do a breakdown. Performance score, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Quality score 7. Value 9. Personal score an 8.5, which is pretty solid. Frequently asked questions. So are these good balls for seniors? I would say yeah, if you like a firmer ball, then they could be perfect fit for you. Would these work for a high handicap or beginner player? I'd probably recommend a softer ball like a Vice Pro Soft or like a TaylorMade Noodle or something. I'll leave a link down below for my video on the best golf balls for average golfers, so you can go check that out if you want. And what Vice ball is right for me, they do have a trial pack where you can pretty much get all of their balls to try out to see what's right for you. And then they also have a golf ball recommender on their website. You can simply Google Vice Golf and there is, it's like the first option there, so you can go check that out. And even though there were a few things I didn't really like about them, I do think they're a solid golf ball and I would feel comfortable recommending them. You know, they were a bit too firm for me and they didn't last as long as I'd like, but they did perform really well for me and was just as good as pretty much any other ball I have tested. They're also much cheaper than some of the higher end balls, and a lot of people are saying they switch from Titleist to these balls, so that's obviously telling you something. But I don't actually use them myself because I do prefer and I'm used to using something else, so I really feel no need to switch right now. But if I did find one, I'd have no issues keeping it and using it for a round. And overall, this ball will definitely get a thumbs up for me. But if you'd like to see more images or more reviews or pick it up for the lowest price available, click the link in the description down below. At the time I'm making this video, that was the cheapest place I could find it. So you can go and check out the current price if you want. If you do have any questions, just simply leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you haven't already watched and commented on our latest video, click the video card to the left and get yourself another entry into our golf giveaway.